She was just another commuter on the 7:45 a.m. train, clutching her coffee and laptop bag, hoping for a peaceful ride to work. The carriage was already half full, the usual buzz of people lost in their phones and early morning yawns filling the space. As the train slowed at the next stop, she noticed a man step in, holding the hand of a small boy, no more than 5 years old. The child looked sleepy, resting his head against the man's coat, his tiny backpack slipping off his shoulder. Something about the pair caught her attention. The man's eyes flicked around the carriage, searching for 2 seats together, but there were none. Without hesitation, she stood up and offered them her seat. "Here, you both can sit," she said warmly, smiling at the boy, who gave a shy nod. The man looked surprised, grateful, and maybe a little embarrassed. "Thank you," he said, his voice deep and sincere. She nodded, thinking nothing more of it. The train pulled away from the station, and she leaned against the pole nearby, scrolling through emails. A few minutes later, the man spoke again. "You saved my morning. He didn't sleep well last night. This is our new routine since his school changed." She glanced down. The boy had already dozed off, leaning against his father. "I'm just glad you got a spot," she replied. That moment could have ended there. A small act of kindness in a sea of strangers, but fate, as it often does, had other plans. The next morning, they were on the same train again. This time, he saw her first and gestured to an empty seat beside them. "It's your turn today," he said with a smile. Over the next few weeks, their paths continued to cross. Little conversations turned into daily chats. She learned his name was Daniel, and he was a single dad and a tech entrepreneur. He juggled morning routines, business calls, and school drop-offs. His company had just secured a major round of funding, and yet, he still packed his son's lunch and rode the train instead of taking a car. His humility was refreshing. He learned she was a UX designer, loved old movies, and made the best lasagna, according to her friends. The boy, Liam, started to recognize her. One morning, he handed her a crayon drawing. "It's you and Daddy and me on the train," he said proudly. She was touched. They began meeting on purpose, syncing their morning routines. Eventually, Daniel invited her to coffee after the train ride. Coffee turned into brunch. Brunch turned into long Sunday walks in the park with Liam. Conversations deepened. There was a quiet understanding between them. 2 people used to managing life alone, now discovering the ease of being together. She saw the pressures Daniel carried, not just the demands of being a CEO, but the emotional weight of raising a child on his own. He wasn't looking for sympathy. He had built his life around stability for his son. But with her, he could breathe, laugh, and sometimes, just be Daniel. Not the businessman, not the father, just a man falling for someone who saw him for who he was. It wasn't a whirlwind romance. It was built slowly, like the train that brought them together, steady, reliable, and always moving forward. They faced doubts, of course. She wondered if she was ready to be a part of a family. He worried if his life had room for someone else. But every morning, when she stepped onto the train and saw them waiting, those doubts grew quieter. A year later, that same train ride looked different. Liam was still there, a little taller now, holding both their hands. As they rode together, Daniel looked at her and smiled, the kind of smile that says, "I'm exactly where I want to be." What began with a simple act of kindness turned into something extraordinary. She hadn't planned on meeting anyone that day. She just did what she thought was right. But life has a way of rewarding kindness. And sometimes, all it takes to change your story is offering someone a seat.